Karen Nohelty, as I mentioned, she is part of the research team. Oh, I'm hoping, there she is. Karen, I was afraid, I was like, she may not know what the code is. And anyway, thank you for being there.
Of course.
And you look lovely. And what a nice background. Doesn't she look like all official and like she planned it out?
Yes.
Okay. So, Karen, tell us what you do, because I was just saying you're with the research and development, but tell them what you do and then tell us what we're talking about today.
Sure. So I head up the research and development department at CARD, and that involves, running research programs, supporting employees and families with research, and, everything in that domain.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so you and other members of your team join us about once a month to talk about research topics and to kind of give us an understanding of what's happening in the world of research, both at CARD and outside of CARD, and what's important and translate it. Because Nancy, like you and I have tried to translate this, and we're like two women in the dark with a flashlight with no battery.
Right. That's so true. Yeah, we're glad that we've got Karen here to translate it for us today.
Yeah,
glad to help.
So what are we talking about today?
Sure. So one of the prominent journals in ABA, which is called Behavior Analysis and Practice, put together this emergency series, really focusing on giving practical tools and tips to clinicians and parents around this pandemic. And I picked one of the articles that I wanted to share because it really focuses on practical tips for parents and caregivers. It's written in parent-friendly language. So if any parents are interested in looking at the article itself, if you Google the title, it'll come up pretty quickly. And I would encourage parents to look at it because it's actually accessible. So the article is called Promoting Functional Communication Within the Home, and it's by Bondi, Horton, and Frost. And two of those authors were involved in developing PECS, which is Picture Exchange Communication for individuals who are non-vocal. So some of your listeners may know PECS. So these authors are very versed in the area of communication. And in this article, they talk about 9 what they call critical communication skills and give practical strategies for families to use at home. All the strategies are backed by research, but they don't include research in the article to really focus on the practical nature of it. And I do want to say I tend to use the language your child, but these strategies apply for teens, adults, doesn't matter how old your child is. So I'll jump right in here. The first critical communication skill is requesting reinforcers. And this involves identifying highly preferred items or activities that your child really likes and identify how your child can request those things throughout the day. And a request can be exchanging a picture, saying a word, saying a sentence, and you want to do whatever is easiest for your child here. And I really like the article pointed out to also look at things your child needs, but maybe doesn't really see as preferred. So for example, when your child's eating yogurt, you need a spoon. They don't necessarily like spoons, but when you're eating yogurt, you need a spoon. So if you give them just the yogurt and then prompt them to ask for the spoon, that's a great way to foster communication and get those skills going a little bit more. And the key that they also really focus on with this is to really focus on creating situations when your child is calm to work on requesting, as opposed to waiting for your child to have a tantrum or have an issue before prompting these skills. So that's really the first strategy they talked about. The second one is all about requesting help and assistance. And for this, you also want to identify natural opportunities throughout the day when your child needs help. And what you do is you want to focus on prompting them to ask for help in those situations. So this could include, giving your child a Ziploc baggie that they can't open. Resist the urge to help them open it or help them do whatever these tasks are, and instead prompt them to ask for help. Again, whether that's exchanging a picture card or asking for help, you want them to request that from you, and then you give them that assistance to help open that Ziploc baggie or whatever it is. Other examples are, opening up a Tupperware container, taking a cap off a marker, putting on their shoes, blowing up a balloon. So these can include play activities. These can include activities of like getting dressed in the morning, and teaching your child to ask for help is a great way to reduce that frustration that they may be feeling. Okay, the next one is asking for a break. And, a lot of kids are wrapping up school, but, virtual schoolwork is definitely something that can be stressful, as well as maybe chores and maybe some other activities throughout the day. And if you teach your child to ask for a break before they melt down, that can really reduce tantrums and can really help the flow of the day. So, all of these first three here are all about teaching your child to make these requests, to get their needs met. And then, your child can feel proud and feel independent that they're able to do these things without, communicate their needs without needing the parent to guess, so to speak. The next two are related here. First one is rejecting by saying no. So there are going to be things that your child just doesn't want to do. And teaching them to communicate no when you offer them something is really important, because then again, they get to express themselves and be able to tell you what they don't want to do. So what you want to do is in the beginning, just present items to your child that they don't like, prompt them to say no. And in the beginning, especially when they say no, you want to remove the item immediately. So they learn, oh, I say no, and the item goes away. As things go on, you're going to have to teach them some flexibility with it, but that's at least the beginning first step. On the other hand of this, you also want to teach them to say yes. And this is something that often gets forgotten, but we want to make sure that your child is able to communicate to you what they want as opposed to you guessing. So I'm sure there's some parents out there where, you've offered your child, okay, do you want yogurt? Do you want chips? Do you want cookies? And you're kind of waiting for them to show a sign that they're interested in that snack. And by teaching your child to say yes, that really shows you clearly that this is what they want, not something that they're just going to take because you're putting it in front of them. So by doing this, you again, same kind of strategy, you want to either teach them to say yes with a picture card, say yes vocally, in order to communicate this intent on their part. So the last four strategies here are what the authors call listener behaviors. And we typically think about functional communication involving, individuals requesting their wants and needs and then getting those items. But these listener behaviors, I think, are also really important, and they're ways for individuals to express their understanding of language in a way that leads to direct outcomes for them. So this first one is a huge area, responding to wait and tolerating no. And this is all about the individual understanding when you tell them to wait, that they need to wait calmly and that they're going to get that item. And waiting really is a promise that must be fulfilled. So when someone tells you to wait, you are under the understanding that you're going to get that item eventually. And that's really important to teach individuals. And you want to start with a shorter time interval and then gradually increase that. So if you have an item your child wants, you tell them wait, maybe you wait 5 seconds. Oh, here you go, you can have it. And as time goes on, you want them to wait for longer and longer periods of time because, waiting for 5 seconds is not super functional. In terms of tolerating no, that's a little bit different than wait because, that item is just not available at all. And I like their suggestion in the article. They say to try the no game. And what this involves is talking to your child, telling them that sometimes you'll say no to them, but if they respond calmly, they'll get some other rewards. And when you do this, you want to first start by saying no to something that's not that important to them. So, if they like bananas, but, they don't really care that much about bananas, when they point to a banana, just say, no, not right now. And if they respond calmly, then you give them something else that they can eat as a snack or that they can play with. And that's a way to teach them to tolerate that communication on our end to them. Okay, the next one is all about following directions. Another huge area here. And I like how they phrase it in terms of the functional communication piece, where start by teaching your child to follow directions that leads to something meaningful for them. So for example, if you tell them get the ball, they bring you the ball and then you play with the ball together. So if you can give them instructions that leads to something good for them, then they learn, oh, following instructions really is something positive and beneficial that I should do, because then I get to hang out, I get to play with mom and dad, different things like that. Okay, number 8 on this list is all about following a schedule. And a schedule is another great way for us to communicate to our individuals on the spectrum what the day is going to look like, or what the next couple hours or what the next hour is going to look like. So for this, I like to think like I use a schedule all the time. I reference my schedule, I don't know how many times a day, constantly. And, a schedule is something that a lot of adults use and rely on. So it's a great tool to really support our individuals on the spectrum with as well. It can be with pictures, it can be with text, whatever works for your child. And what you want to do is you want to put those pictures or text in order. You can write it down on a piece of paper. That's probably the simplest way. You can also get pictures. This can be a physical thing that you can hold. It can be digital. It can be on an iPad. There's so many different options. But you want to start simple and, write or use the pictures to show the list of what's going to happen in the day. And then as you go through, communicate to your child, oh, this is all done. This is what's next. And go through that schedule step by step. And, initially you want to stick to that schedule exactly. And then later on, once the individual starts to get it, you can start to build in flexibility. The last tip here, the last communication strategy is related, and it's all about transitioning between activities. And this is where you can use a schedule to aid in transitions that might be kind of challenging. And what the authors noted in this article is that it's beneficial to really focus on the reward following transitioning to something that's less preferred. So as an example, if your child's eating snack and then the next thing on the list is they're going to have to do some schoolwork, but after that they get to watch TV. Instead of telling your child, okay, when you finish your snack, we're going to go do schoolwork, that kind of ends on the non-preferred thing they don't want to do. You want to focus on the reward. You want to focus on, okay, in a little bit, we're going to do schoolwork and then you get to watch TV. Which show do you want to watch? Do you want to watch, and give them 2 options of their favorite shows? So you focus on the reward. That helps kids transition a little bit better. So the nice thing I like about all of these strategies is that you can do them throughout the day. They don't require you to set up a special time to work on these skills. And also, even though these skills were written specifically for the pandemic, I think these tips are useful, whether it's next week, next month, 5 years from now. I think these strategies are something that's going to be really, really important and helpful for families in their everyday interactions with kids.
So I love this, Karen. What I feel like it is like this amazing toolkit.
Yes.
And all the tools aren't going to be used all the time by all of the people. Because I know somebody wrote in and said, PECS never worked with my son when he was nonverbal because he gamed the system. And the thing about one of the things that I've learned that you guys have taught me is that, there's more than one way of doing things. And since our kids are all different, and we say when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. And one of the frustrations that we have maybe with general public school is that this is the teaching method. And some kids fit into it and some kids don't. But ABA says, here's the toolkit. If this didn't work with this individual, not even kid, because we're talking teens and adults, right, then onto this other strategy and let's try that. And I think that that's one of the great gifts that ABA has given to my family is that okay, it says that the kid is never wrong. The learner
Yes.
is never wrong, but
Yes.
we're just gonna, and that it's not that they're unable to learn it. We just got to keep trying till we find the way in to teach it. And so how many different things are on this report?
9.
9. So 9 different things that you guys could access as a parent today and go, all right, well, I haven't tried this one. Let me give this a whirl-ski. And where can they find it again, Karen?
So again, if they Google the title, it comes right up. It's Promoting Functional Communication Within the Home. And the authors are Bondi, Horton, and Frost.
Wonderful,
I
wonderful.
think you're absolutely right, Karen, that these are skills that transcend the coronavirus. They're things that we can use every day. And one of the things that I think is really important is the schedule, especially with kids not being at school. They can tend to be adrift somewhat, and having a schedule can really help that.
Definitely. Yes. Even if it's just, okay, we're going to go outside and then we're going to read a book and then we're going to watch TV, you can still make a schedule.
Right.
And somebody's writing in and saying that your talk was really useful, Karen. So thank you so much for that. And I want to point out too that as school is ending places, it's really important to be changing the schedule so that everybody understands what the expectations are. I know I had to say to some people yesterday, I was like, is it pants optional now? Is that what happened? The schedule changed and now it's pants optional. I don't remember getting that memo. I didn't agree to it. So it's important to tell everybody when things change, what the schedule changes, what the expectations are. We can tell people in lots of different ways, whether it's that we put a thing up on the wall that we refer to what the rules in the schedule are, or we talk it through, or we show pictures, whatever it is. And somebody else said, my son has a watch with his schedule on it, which is great. Someone else says, PECS was the starter for my son's language. It helped him to read and verbally speak from PECS.
Wow.
So we have at least one PECS winner here. Karen, thank you so much. We'll look forward to having you and your team back.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to cough. So sorry, I have a tickle. Thank you, Karen. Bye-bye.
Karen. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.